What's going on, buddies? I hope you all had a great weekend. Feeling refreshed. It's a bloody Monday. As you can see, everything is red. So we're going to take a look before we jump into the Numinous investor deck, like I promised to my friend on Reddit, that it's blood in the streets. But we're not going to worry because what goes up must come down, and what goes down must go up. Everything from the blue chips like Apple and Microsoft to oh, that's interesting. Uh, of all things that's doing good, car parts are up. So that's interesting. Here's the thing. I've never seen the fear and greed index at 3, and it wasn't even that low during the Great Recession in 2008. We're going to take a quick look at the VIX before we jump into the investor deck. And basically, as you can see here, is where we are today. All of the gains from the entire year have been wiped out due to the Saudi oil war and the coronavirus. So, you know, we didn't really lose anything. We're just back to where we started. But like the ironic part is, MindMed is one of the only holdings in my portfolio that has performed relatively with no correlation towards the overall markets. Like it has come out unscathed and it's trading rather flat. So I'm doing pretty good on that. And I'm actually quite surprised and quite happy. So it's good to know that um, generally what's going on isn't affecting this. And I do believe we will see a little bit more of a sell off. So you guys should keep your eyes on, and you might be able to get a really good buy in price. As always, I suggest holding long, but moving into the investor deck. All right, these are all forward looking statements for Numinous, and this is from December of 2019. The Numinous company is a twofold company. It is like Field Trip, a clinical setup form where they will have clinics and administer psychedelics for things like PTSD, depression, anxiety. Um, but they will not do this in low doses. These are clinics where they are watched over with psychologists, psychiatrists, and doctors, and they are administered with guides as they go through these trips to come out unscathed from emotional traumas of their past, or whatever ailment they have. So that's one end of it, and the second end is this is was acquired in 2019 by Salvation Botanicals, which is a company that I was actually looking forward to going public, but I was unaware that they acquired Numinous until one of my Reddit friends mentioned it and to do some research on it. So this is a win-win for me. I actually really like this over Field Trip because Field Trip only focuses on the model of clinics, and I want the best of both worlds. So that's nice. But let's get into this. Enough about that stuff. We are one of the first companies licensed to test, sell, and deliver psychedelic therapies. Firstly, let's talk about this when it comes to these investments. Everyone's claiming to be first. They are not first. So we should always do our due diligence and see if the foundations of these investments are solid, sound, and worth our money. Psychedelic therapies have been what the hell is that word? All right. We address the universal desire to heal. Numinous is an operating company at the forefront of transformative change in treating and growing prevalence in mental health issues and desire for greater wellness. Our unique growth platform includes a testing and processing facility that can leverage the emerging markets of psychedelic therapies to treat mental illness, addictions, and PTSD, as well as an established and fully integrated treatment and healing center model that will scale nationally. Substantial cannabis revenue through our laboratory and processing facility will help us grow our plants. So what they're doing is, because Numinous is owned by Salvation Botanicals, they're leveraging their income generated from recreational and medical research in the cannabis sector and using that to fund their expansion and growth in the psychedelic space. So that is primarily where they're getting their funding until they go public via RTO with Rojo Resources towards the end of the month. We are the first company licensed to test, sell, and deliver psychoactive therapies. They are one of the first. Actually, one of the first was a company called Small Pharma in the UK for ketamine research in treatment-resistant depression, followed by Compass Pathways, owned by Atia Life Sciences, for psilocybin, and most of these researches for PTSD or depression. But everyone's claiming to be first. Psychedelic therapies have been designated through breakthrough therapy status by the FDA in treatment with, and we are on top of the next wave in addressing a growing trend in mental health issues in Canada and around the world. So this company is primarily Canadian right now, like most, because Canada considered next to the US. It's much more liberal, so we're considered a gray market. It's not necessarily entirely illegal to have mushrooms on you, but it is illegal to grow them for, distribution or sales, i.e., drug dealing. We play an important role in areas of psychedelic substance research and testing. We can test, process, buy, and sell MDMA, psilocybin, psilocin, DMT, and mescaline, and we are amending our license to soon include MDMA production. So they're looking to produce their own drugs in-house. And one of the things that I'm liking what I'm seeing is that majority of companies, even the big boys like Compass and MindMed, only have access to a small handful of different psychedelic drugs. And these guys have not just psilocybin and psilocin, but MDMA, DMT as well, which are two very therapeutic compounds. Transformation is needed. 51 billion estimated annual economic burden of mental illness in Canada. 1.2 the number of Canadians who will be affected by mental health issues by the age of 40. 4,000 the number of Canadians who die by suicide each year. Ooh, that's high. 9% plus percentage of Canadian adults who will suffer from PTSD in their lifetime, and that can form from anything from physical spousal abuse to, bullying in school. 500,000 number of unemployed Canadians who are unable to work due to mental health problems, and 1 in 5 the number of Canadians who suffer from addiction in any given year, with 50% of Canadians experiencing a major depressive episode who do not receive potentially adequate care. Number 4, Canada's rank in the use of antidepressants and drugs per capita and use of antidepressants globally, which is quite high. The use of psychedelics in transformative medicine is safe, controlled, and therapeutic environment is moving to the mainstream. So their model is that not only will they do research into creating compounds for medicinal and pharmaceutical use, but the flip side of their business model is that the clinics, they will be using large dose treatments with these compounds, and there's not a lot of companies that are doing both. Like MindMed is strictly into the pharmaceuticals, Field Trip is strictly into the facilities, and this is the best of both worlds. So I'm really liking this, and I'm really interested to see where this goes. They do have FDA approval for grants and research, import and export, so they are already ahead of the game in my opinion, but I'll continue to read on. FDA grants breakthrough therapy designation to Compass Pathways for psilocybin-assisted therapy for treatment and resistant depression. FDA grants breakthrough therapies and designation to MAPS, which has been around for 20 years here in Canada, researching psychedelics for MDMA-assisted therapy of PTSD. BC Center of Substance Use commencing phase 3. Ooh, I thought that was phase 2. That's good to know. Phase 3 clinical trials of MDMA for patients suffering from PTSD, and FDA grants breakthrough therapy designation to Asana Institute's psilocybin program in the treatment for major depressive disorders. Asana is another company that's looking to go public, but they're quite quiet on the front right now, so I don't really have a lot of information on them. And Johns Hopkins is a well-known medical facility in the States. So that having such a big player in the industry is really good, and they are part of the reason why Johnson and Johnson, our billion-dollar blue chip friend, was able to get their ketamine nasal spray for depression through Johns Hopkins research. I think that they're just pointing out other companies so that you can see that there's value in what they're doing and that things are moving forward, not just for them, but across the board. More of a comforting statement, that these investments are sound in the future. Our addressable market, the growing number of those suffering from PTSD, addictions, and mental health issues underserved by today's therapeutic model, and everyone who desires improved well-being by taking advantage of the wide range of therapeutic services offered at our Numinous healing clinics. The testing and processing laboratory is a 7,000 square foot fully built and paid for testing processing center, which I can't remember if I mentioned earlier or not, because it's a subsidiary of Salvation Botanicals Cannabis. They've leveraged their money, and so this is not something you're gonna not see a lot of debt. They're pretty well ahead compared to others in that front, that they have some liquid financing to fall back on in case of any financial dry spells. Our license allows us to test, buy, and sell MDMA, psilocybin, psilocin, DMT, and mescaline. Licensed to be amended to include MDMA production. Meets FDA Stage 3 requirements for supplying MDMA and psilocybin trials. Agreement with scientists at Canadian University with patent process for producing MDMA and psilocybin products for growing number of clinical research and trials. Staffed by internationally acclaimed PhDs, aka doctors with backgrounds in peer-reviewed research, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and advanced analytical technologies, utilizing proprietary technology and chromatography oh man, these are some big words. This is when I hate talking to a computer. Marshmallow, and I should have drank some water. Sorry, boys. Continuing on. You can read those. The Numinous Healing Center acquired an operational facility aligned with our model that embraces evidence-based use of psychedelic therapies. Professional therapists and integrative health professionals guide people in the use of psychedelics, supportive therapies, and sophisticated technologies to help them heal, connect, and grow in a safe, controlled, therapeutic environment. We developed proprietary protocols and partnered with researchers to advocate ketamine-assisted therapy in a study settling a treatment for depression. Healing Centers of Numinous, the full suite of therapeutic services under one facility. Our unique integrated therapeutic model creates lifelong relationships with people wanting lasting physical, mental, and emotional health. The first healing center located in Vancouver includes 6 treatment rooms, event studio space, 15 plus therapeutic team, including doctors and medicine naturopathy, and registered nurses. If you take a look at some of these, it seems to me that they're trying to expand beyond the psychedelic market, probably to ensure that they have a safety net and not just putting all of their chips in one basket in getting a lot of these psychedelic treatments as their main source of income, because to be quite honest, it's early days. A lot of these researches into medications and pharmaceuticals are only in the early stages of phase 1 or phase 2, with acceptance to the ketamine, which is phase 3. So they're into acupuncture, uh, holistic pelvic care, whatever the hell that is, physiotherapy, and many other things. So it's nice to see that they are padding their portfolio so that, they will have a generated, like, the money will be coming in. God, you talk too much and you get mush mouth. We are not a concept, we are a growth story. 2020 runway. Numinous will be listed on the TSXV, also known as the Venture Exchange, through an RTO in Q1 2020. So it's been stated that it will happen at the end of March. With estimated 2020 revenues from testing and processing facilities and healing centers of 10 million. They do not state if that is quarterly or annually, but I'm sure we'll find out as time progresses. Standard processing and extraction license by Health Canada expected in the Q1 of 2020, along with their intent to go public. Expand our healing center footprint and brand, building flagship healing centers in Vancouver, one of which is already complete. Acquire and integrate 2 to 4 existing healing centers in Canada aligned with our model. I believe the second one is looking to be erected in Toronto and receive input from MAPS and research professionals on space and clinic requirements for trials. So they're looking to follow the guidelines needed for medical treatment centers. Amend dealer's license under a Controlled Substance Act to include MDA production, producing in-house psychedelics for their clinics, which I really like, because if you really look into any of these companies and do your research, none of them are producing their own. Like Field Trip, they do all of their research off-site in, I believe it's Cuba, and these are the only, Numinous and Botanical Pharmaceuticals are the only in Canada that can do this. But we'll move on. Backstop by stable cannabis revenue, as I stated earlier, because they are a cannabis company owned. Oh man, I tell you, you get talking and it just dry mouth. It's almost like I smoked a joint. Sustainable cannabis revenue driven by our testing and processing laboratory provides us a foundation of growth, differentiating us from other psychedelic spaces. Our fully built and paid for facility has the capacity to take on THC and CBD products and is set to be a progressive player in the hemp-derived CBD and cannabis extractions market. I'm not going to delve too deep into that because we all have heard enough about cannabis, in my opinion. And I'm not going to go into the leadership team because I don't really know, but I will do a deep dive into their LinkedIn and see if there's anything to let you guys know about. But I do know that Stacy Wallen and Peyton, however you say it, Niviquest. Sorry, Peyton, if you're watching, I apologize for butchering your last name. It doesn't state this in the investor deck, but on their website, it does specify that they both have had specific health ailments, and that was the resolve, as they're both co-founders as to why they started this company. The analytics team for research, senior management, and the path to public. So via RTO or reverse takeover, not your initial like IPO or standard IPO, um, the outstanding shares for Rojo are a little over 3 million, and the two funding rounds before being acquired were at 32 and 50 cents per share, and the insiding issued shares to founders are a little over 36 million, with a total outstanding shares of 61 million, fully diluted at 72. And it doesn't state if any are in escrow or not, but we will see. Definitive arrangement agreement was signed by Salvation Botanicals and Rojo Resources in October of 2019. Salvation acquired Numinous Healing Center in Q4 in 2019, and subject to exchange approval, Salvation will list with the TSX Venture through an RTO by Rojo Resources in Q1. And it will be marked as Numinous for its listing. So it looks like there's going to be a soft rollover from the Salvation brand to the Numinous brand, and they will become one. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I tried to keep this one as short as possible by talking super fast because I personally don't like doing these long videos. I do them for you. I hope that my Reddit friend was happy with the results, and I'll try and get back to doing the short 2 to 5 minute videos so we can all enjoy our life. Have a good one, guys. Until next time, peace.